Obviously by the title, if you haven't guessed it already, I'm talking about Path of Exile 2. Now of course this video is going to be talking about my experience playing it thus far, so none of it's going to be the same as yours, but I'm going to talk about my dislikes, if I find any, my likes, and what sticks out to me as an RPG game. The thing I'm going to first start off with is the ability tree. The ability tree is massive. It's probably going to be one of the first things that you kind of feel overwhelmed with, but once you get into it, it's super easy to understand. As you level up, you can spend your points to upgrade your strength, your dexterity, or your intelligence. Each one has a different aspect of how they affect your powers. Now your powers kind of go into the skill gems area. Again, there's a wide variety of those, and each one affects characters differently. Each one will have passive powers, attacks, and defense that have characteristics of attacks or passives even. One of my passives is that my hammer has an ability to light enemies on fire. When they're on low health and I smack them with it, they'll explode with fire and it'll affect the other chain of enemies. As well as I can slam my shield down, provides extra cover for me from projectiles, and if enemies attack it or if I slam it, it's going to explode and cause even more damage. Another thing that's super great for this game is that it actually provides a real challenge. I can't tell you the times that I've died to bosses, and there's even one point where I had to take a step back and go to a different area for a little bit because I couldn't defeat the boss because my character just wasn't ready. I took my time exploring that land, leveled up my character, came back, and I defeated the boss. And I think that's great for the game. It's not holding your hand, it's not giving you a straight linear path like, hey, this is your last option you have to do to move on. You have options, and that's what's great. And the maps are massive, by the way. I haven't even talked about that, the maps are massive. On top of the bosses, I think they all look great. Each one is very different from the other one. They all have different attacks. Some of them are casting spells, some of them are just straight attacks, and some of them are both. And it's very refreshing to have bosses that actually provide you a challenge. It gives me Dark Soul type vibes where I'm going into a boss fight and I'm trying to learn how they attack, what are their cues, where do I need to dodge in order to defeat this guy, because they're not all the same. And it's just a breath of fresh air that I haven't seen in a little bit. Some of the things that you have to take in consideration when facing these bosses are weapons as well. Not all abilities or all fire casting spells, lightning spells are going to do the same thing for each boss, so you have to very understand well what each boss's weakness is. Now I can go to a deeper dive into that, but that's not necessarily what this video is about. But that's another aspect that's just wonderful. You can find different weapons that have different stats, and I've even found that I have the same weapon from Act 1. I haven't needed to change it out because I keep finding different orbs, different items that increase the quality of that weapon, increase the weapon damage, or add different passives to it, such as my flame. Now that's one thing that I noticed too, is I wish I could find another weapon that would be better or something different, because I'm playing the same weapon through all my encounters and I wish I could find another one that's better. There's kind of like a cycle of, hey, this is your looting point, you can find weapons, armor, this and that, and then I felt like I got to a point where I was just finding gold. Now onto the things that I don't really like, or not really dislike, but things that were just noticeable for me. One of them is that when you leave through a door from one area to another and you go back through that same door to go back to the old area, you have to restart the map essentially. You're encountering enemies again, you're doing all that. It's not terrible, it's not my favorite thing, because I could see a good thing as being that, oh, you get to get more loot, but I could also see a bad thing that you've died to a boss this many times and you got to go through all these enemies before you go to the boss again. It's a give and take. It's not something that's major for me, but it's something that I noticed. One thing was that there is a bug for Colossus where at one point he gets his health down to about 1/8 of his bar and then he just stops taking damage altogether. It is something that someone else noticed that I was playing with that didn't happen to me, but it happened. There was even times where it would stop taking damage and then 20-30 seconds later it would start taking damage again. There's no fix right now for it as the time of this recording, but the only thing you can do is restart the boss and then hopefully it doesn't happen again. Now granted, with all that in mind, my experience so far has been pretty great. Other than that, everything's great. This is a great RPG game and I think everyone should try to pick this game up whenever they can. I think they'll really enjoy it and hopefully they continue to add to the game and continue bug fixes as well. Well, if you enjoyed this video or if you related to any part of this video, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. I also stream my game on Twitch and YouTube, so you can find me anywhere there. I'll put the link down in the description, but make sure you're eating plenty of food, drinking plenty of water, and getting plenty of rest, and I'll just catch you guys in the next one.